I'm Jim. Danny's here. Hi, Danny. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
You, Kaz, you're fine?
I'm brilliant, thank you, Jim.
Hey, great. We're going to talk today about coincidences, and we're just going to let this be spontaneous. So I don't know whether one of you would like to kick off with that, or do you want me to have a go at sharing something about my experiences with coincidences?
You go for it.
Okay. Well, funny enough, recently, I spent some time living in Spain, a number of years, and I've only been back in the UK now for 9 months, and I'm in a work that's it's all right, it's fine, it's not a forever work, and I had this feeling it sort of pays the bills and all the rest of it, but it's not what my calling is. Anyway, I was a little bit sort of disillusioned with a few things, and I decided to take a few out, like half a day off, to sort things out, to pay bills and so on. And I really had this sort of strong feeling about, eventually going back to live in Spain. And anyway, I sorted out the bills, and then I thought I must go and get myself some petrol for my car. So I went to the petrol station, and as I came out of the petrol station, I looked across the road, and there was this building that showed a massive Spanish flag flying outside it. Now, in the UK, you hardly ever see Spanish flags. So I thought, is that a coincidence or what? Yeah, I mean, it's only happened like last week. I mean, we all get coincidences for years. I've had a lot of coincidences. I'm just giving you an example of what happened to me in the last week. I thought, wow, of all the places, usually the Union Jacks that are outside these built or American flags. This one's got a Spanish flag, and so I think it was an IT company or something. But that's just an example of, is the universe saying to me, I'm on the right path in the way I'm thinking? What do you guys think?
I think you're right. I mean, to see a Spanish flag is very unusual here. I think knowing you for so long, how much happier you are in Spain. But I think you're being very sensible, and you recognise that, so you sort of honoured it to the universe, saying, okay, I saw that, and I think you should see what comes up next. What about you, Danny?
I think it's connection, isn't it? I think you are connected, and we need things that remind us that whatever it is out there that is with us all the time is with us. And when you see something like that, it's an affirmation, an acknowledgement of some kind, And
today, just before I came on that call, a lady who I haven't spoken to in about 2 years, 3 years, she's in the UK, she said, similar age to me, she just said, I'm thinking of going to, Spain with my daughter, who happens to be the same age as my daughter.
Wow.
So, I know these are little subtle things, and if you don't spend time looking at that, perhaps, and think, oh, well, it was nothing. But if you look into it, is there am I energetically pulling this woman who happens to, she never ever mentioned about going to live over there in Spain, and I didn't know she had a daughter the same age as mine, and had no idea. Isn't that weird? I mean, it's just, when you really stop and reflect and look at the perhaps connecting dots, is there something orchestrating this whole thing?
Yeah, and I'm your number 3 then, because we were, speaking earlier, and I would like to go back to Spain. So they always say it comes in free. But what I was thinking just now when I was listening to you both is, lots of people would listen to this and say, oh, yeah. But, we miss so much in life. I mean, what's the harm in being aware of coincidences, coming towards us? What's the harm in following it? Because there is guidance out there, and there is help out there for us, and it's always showing up, But you can either go with it, or you can just laugh and just say, "Oh yeah, whatever." But it's funny if you follow it, and more importantly, if you acknowledge it, then the next one can come at you. Do you know what I mean? But if you don't acknowledge it, then the universe is thinking, "Oh well, they haven't got that one yet." But if
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think the universe sort of gives, if there's something, a vibration or whatever it is, the universe gives up on you if you just think, oh, well, that's nothing, you move on. And I think that you've got to sort of honour what's coming, as you say, become aware of it. In my case, I write it down in my journal, so maybe the universe thinks, oh, this person's taking things seriously. Let's pop another one in at some stage. And I think that if you don't take these things seriously, then it's like you turn the tap off, you turn a circuit off, and suddenly you're kind of on your own a bit, you know.
And there is no harm in listening to it. Can I share one? It was a few years ago, but it was something I could have ignored. I was living in Amsterdam, where the housing is really, really hard to find, and most housing it's not public housing, but there are housing associations that distribute the housing. So depending on your income, you might live on the top floor of a place and pay 5 times the rent of the person on the floor below you. So everything's income based, and it's very social. But anyway, I was living in this particular neighborhood, which was fantastic. But I had my son, who was very ill at the time, and my daughter, and I had to transport her to school every day, and it was just really difficult because we were a little bit away from the city, and I needed another place. And I wrote to the housing association, as it were, that we were with, called The Key, and I requested desperately that, another sort of accommodation, and I needed to move. And they sent me a letter back saying, no, it's not possible. And I was about to go and pick up my daughter, and I was in a bit of a rush, and I just read this letter and my heart sank. Anyway, I moved slightly in my office, and the phone book fell down onto the floor and dropped open, and it dropped open on the page that housing association was printed on, The Key. And I was thinking, well, hang on, I've got the number in my phone. I never used that page. Why has it opened on that particular page? And I was running late, and I was ready to go and get my daughter, and something said to me, this is too much of a coincidence for all the pages for it to open up on that thing. What's it trying to tell me? So I sat down on my office chair, and I read through the letter that I'd written them, and then I read through the letter they'd written me back, and it was clear that they hadn't actually read my letter, that there was something in there that was just not right. And I thought, I'm being told somehow to phone this association, and I phoned the guy who wrote me the letter, and he felt so embarrassed that he said, we will put you up for the next available house. And if I hadn't done that, if I just got on the tram and accepted that letter and ignored the phone book falling open on that page, I wouldn't have got the house that I did. So
wow,
I think,
amazing.
Yeah, there really is something to being given messages, and as Kaz says, being aware of them and being open to it and saying, well, is this something?
I'm not as bright as you two, or not aware. I mean, because I have a coincidence with 1111 keep coming at me now, but I've had it coming at me for at least a year. So I mean, I don't think they give up on you. I think what they do is they just keep sending you that message.
Who's they though?
I would say spirit, universe, energy. I mean, whatever you want to call it. Coincidences come from somewhere. It could even be coming from my own energy field. My unconscious mind, maybe.
It doesn't really matter, does it?
I like the way that you're open to the many different possibilities of where it may be coming from. I like that.
It's coming from somewhere, but I mean, I didn't pick up on it straight away. I mean, I work from home on my computer, and, every time I look at the clock, it always at 11:11, or if something happens on Skype, I look, it's always 11:11. And I didn't really take much notice of it. It wasn't till I started talking to you two, so I wasn't on my own, really. And I just mentioned it to you. Look, hang on, I keep seeing this 11:11. And, as I say, it's been, a long time they've been coming at me with it. So, as I said, I don't think they give up. I think what they do is they don't move. Well, I couldn't move forward until I honoured and recognised, said, okay, I just said out loud, okay, 11:11, there's something about this 11:11, I've got it. Okay, so what's next? I felt a fool doing it, but, I just did it. I thought, there has to be a reason why I keep seeing it. But then when I spoke to you two, you told me about the bridge and other possibilities. So it has opened up a new way of thinking. And yes, I'm still waiting for the next step. So I think honouring them, I think, is it. But, I think it's to do with timing as well. I don't know what you two think about that. I think the timing has to be right. Whoever it is may think it's the right timing, but being human, we have all the things going on in life, and we may not think it's the right timing. What do you think?
Well, I reckon in the world of coincidences, or where it all comes from, there is no time. It's just information that's, what I say, in the now. Unfortunately or fortunately, we live in the physical world of, linear time. But I think we're in the world of dreams and numbers and coincidences, it's much more from what I call a non-local space, where it's now. So I think it's down to us to really feel out. I think the word is feel, not just think, but feel out. If this is 11/11 is suggesting I move to another country, then you've got to, I suppose, use
Spain.
your common. Yeah, Spain. In your case, I think it's Spain because we talked about this. But it's also using, shall we say, I don't know the word, common sense. But knowing, maybe you can't go tomorrow, but you've got to work, sort out your family and this and that, but you've got an impulse from this now field, you call it spirit world or whatever, that's pointing you in that direction. If you want to go there, it's not like saying you should go there or you must go there. It's just an invite for you to go to that other country. This is my view, and it's all now. It's all happening now. But in the material world, we have to sort of use our, I suppose, wisdom or common sense to sort of think, well, I've got to get the kids to finish school because they're still finishing school, or I've got to finish this particular job contract or whatever it might be. So I think it's two things going on there.
Well, what the beautiful thing is with this as well, I think, is that if we do follow something that we think is being pointed out to us, or something we feel, and we follow it, if there are lots of blocks along the way, it's, I think that's what the universe or whatever it is out there just helps us by. If there are blocks, it's a no. And if it's smooth and everything falls into place, I'm talking about really smoothly, slot, one thing after the other, it's meant to be. I think they give us help all the way through, not just with the pointer, but with the end result as well.
But do you think we put blocks in our way sometimes?
Yeah, I do.
We do. I think we can always stop things, even if we're meant to do them, we can stop ourselves doing them. Yeah.
So maybe our homework is, all right, I'm getting this coincidence about going to, let's say, Spain. Like I had the Spanish flag and that. I might have to write down, well, what are my fears? What's holding me back? What's getting in the way? And just write the things down and just become aware of some of the blockages that's preventing me from doing it. And just become aware of it and work with that. I think you've got to resolve your own inner blockages. I think that's our responsibility, is to work out, understand what's potentially going to sabotage us from moving to something that wants us to be happy, I guess. Coincidence is about making us happy, isn't it? Fulfilled. Not always. Or maybe we need to learn a lesson in that move. Perhaps it's about learning a lesson which may not be comfortable, but it's part of our soul's learnings.
Well, when my grandmother was dying, I had a really strange bird come and visit me, very strangely, standing on a pole outside, and that was not to make me happy, but I suppose, it was meant to make me more aware and do what I did next, which was make some phone calls and find out that she was actually... But
I mean, I remember years ago getting a coincidence of joining a company, because 333 is a big one for me. And I remember when I came to the UK, it was funny enough, I remember I was away and I was in the UK, and I went for a job interview, and I thought, I'm not sure I want this. I asked the universe, could you please help me? And I saw the brochure, and it had El Camino Real 333. El Camino Real in Spanish is the real path. I joined that company, and I was only in it for about 2.5 months because they closed the sales department down. But I'm so glad that they did. At the time, I didn't start. I thought, what's this Camino Real? This real path. Because I went through some pain there, but in a way, it was only on it for 2.5 months. But it pushed me into doing some inner work. Had it been in a longer term thing, I would have really suffered in that company. So maybe my higher self pushed me into the job to learn something. But it also said, right now you've got to leave this and work something out. It was like, it wasn't that I was happy, but it forced me to look at stuff that I wasn't dealing with and deal with some unfinished business.
It was a stepping stone to the next place.
Correct. And then that after a period of time, I sorted out. I began to understand what was blocking me, and afterwards I was unblocked, and then I had a longer period of feeling much more fulfilled in my work. But I'm just saying, sometimes it doesn't mean it's going to be a place where it's all, roses and making you happy. It's sometimes you've got to.
Meant to be. The
coincidences are pushing you there to learn something and to help you unblock stuff.
Well, they do say, don't they, that being here on Earth, it's all about learning.
Yeah.
And it's funny how we categorize pain and happiness, isn't it?
Mm.
But I mean, it's about that learning. It's about, if we learn it now, then we don't have to keep learning it again and again. I think it's about being awake as well. I mean, isn't it? There are millions of people out there who are really just happy in their everyday life, and they feel fulfilled and they just get on with it. But there's also, on the other, for balance, there's millions of people out there who think and feel, mainly feel, that there's more to life. What is there more? And I think that it's about listening to your inner guidance. It's about going through struggle, maybe not pain, because I don't like the word pain, but, struggle, and to see what's next. And it's about tapping in. I mean, if you believe that we are all connected, they've done lots of tests, haven't they, to prove we have auras and all things like that. But if you believe, or you have some inkling that we're all connected, then it's tapping into that energy. It's tapping into yourself, really.
I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe our next conversation could be about pain and joy and how they're paradoxical, the two.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we're coming now. I don't know. We've been talking now for nearly 20 minutes. So perhaps we could just wrap up. You want to sort of wrap up, Danielle, on this one? It's been an interesting talk for virtually 20 minutes.
I'm thinking about what our next talk could be about. So that was interesting.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. Well, perhaps we can reflect on that. But no, it's been a very good. I've actually learnt something through sharing my own stuff. Some little revelations come up for me on this one, so it's been a good experience for me. And you, Kaz?
Well, what I was thinking is, it doesn't matter what age you are. When these things start to happen. So, for those who are listening who think, oh, well, I'm too old to start all that now. You're never too old,
Yeah.
If you see things, if you have inklings, just honour them and see where it takes you. Life can open up, and it can open many doors.
I agree,
and
it's also about open up and take action when inspired action when you feel right. Just move, because it's you might keep saying, "Give me another coincidence, give me another coincidence," and of course, universe can only do so much. But I think to a certain extent, we've got to move as well. As Einstein says, nothing happens until something moves. We're the ones that have to move sometimes, And
perhaps reflecting back as well for those who are more sceptical. Reflecting back at moments in one's life where there were coincidences, but we missed them. And now that we're actually here where we are now, we realise that, X happened for a reason. And that made me go there and do this and do that. And
Cool. Well, thanks, guys, for sharing all this. Until the next one, yeah?
Yeah.
And thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.